Okay, good morning to all the participants. Good morning, Dr. Chirag Maheshwari sir. And also, good morning to our chorus director, Dr. Raman Kumar. So, this is Nadeem Riaz program, assistant of 21 days National Refresher Course come Capacity Building Program. So, today's morning lecture is Stress Biochemistry in Horticultural Crops, Recent Research and Applications. And the lecture will be delivered by Dr. Chirag Maheshwari sir. So I will tell the little bio about Dr. Chirag. Dr. Chirag Maheshwari sir is a scientist, Division of Biochemistry, ICAR, Indian Agricultural Research Institute, New Delhi. Dr. Chirag Maheshwari completed his BSc in Agricultural Biotechnology from the University of Agricultural Science, Bangalore, followed by an MSc and PhD in Plant Biochemistry from ICAR, IARI, New Delhi in a collaboration with the International Rice Research Institute, Philippines, where he was a recipient of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation Scholarship. He currently serves as scientist at ICAR IARI New Delhi, having previously worked at ICAR Central Institute of Agricultural Engineering, Bhopal. His research spans plant biochemistry and molecular biology with a focus on abiotic stress physiology, drought tolerance mechanism, and the nutraceutical potential of wild rice varieties. He has contributed 29 peer-reviewed research papers, 18 book chapters, and 30 journal articles to the field, and has co-edited two books, including phytomelatonin, regulating development and stress protection in plants, CRC Press 2025. Dr. Maheshwari is an active member of the scientific community, serving on the editorial board of BMC Plant Biology as a reviewer editor from Frontiers in Plant Science and as guest editor for special issues in BMC Plant Biology and Frontiers in Sustainable Food Systems. He is also an executive committee member of the Society for Plant Biochemistry and Biotechnology. His research contributions have been recognized through several honors, including the CSIR NET 2016, Young Scientist Award 2022, and Best Poster Award at the ABBGE International Symposium 2021. Thank you so much. Now I request Dr. Chirag sir, please start.
Thank you, Nadeem, for giving such a wonderful biodata regarding me. So before moving, my lecture is, I just want participants, if they are able to answer the questions while I'm delivering my lecture over here. It's more of a kind of interactive one.
Yes,
So
sir.
is that possible that I can see the faces of the participants and then we can interact over that? Is that possible
Mm,
or no?
I think no, sir.
Ah, okay then. So before moving to the stress biochemistry in the horticulture crop, I just want to brief regarding the horticulture crop. Is like although my major focus is more of the cereal crop like rice and wheat. But if you look from the horticulture perspective, it's not only the vegetables, there are fruit crops also, many other flower crops also. But if you took your viewpoint towards the horticulture crop or in future, as we are aware with that, with the coming future, the environment is more severe conditions. The environment or the plantations are going to face a severe condition. It may be like high heat, uh, high means like low temperature, high salinity, heavy metal stress. There are many. In case of cereal, what I find that you can shift. Like if one season is damaged because of some any stress condition, still you can cope up with the second season, maybe in winter, maybe in summer. But in case of horticulture crop, especially in case of fruit crop, this is not the scenario in case of especially the fruit crop, where if you planted a crop that is for like 30 year or 40 year of crop, you can shift that particular crop. That plant will remain there as a stagnated there, and it will going to face each and every kind of stress conditions. So protecting the horticulture crop from the abiotic stresses is utmost importance compared to the cereal crop. As but we can question here also that because the cereal crop is more demanding in nature, whereas the horticulture crop, although they are part of the nutritional diet of a human being, but they are not directly into the main carbohydrate or energy requirement pattern of a population. So if I say that what is the stress biochemistry here, so many of you, as I talked to Nadeep, what is the combination of participants here? So I got to know that there are some scientists and associate professors also.
Yes, sir.
So when you say the stress biochemistry, what we are basically want to understand from the stress biochemistry of a horticulture crop. Whenever a plant come across any abiotic stress, this is very much sure that the plant going to come under the stress condition, and the plant, they have the inbuilt capacity to counter that stress condition. But before that countering of stress condition, the few points which is very much prominent whenever any stress condition arouses in the plant, that is like increase in the ROS concentration, reactive oxygen species concentration will increase. The plant will, and once there is an increase in the ROS is like these reactive oxygen species are one which is affecting all the remaining pathways of the plant. They are going to affect the photosynthetic capacity of the plant. They are going to affect the chlorophyll synthesis of the plant. They are going to affect all the energy channeling which is required for the product output. So ultimately, if there is any stress condition, they are going to reduce the ultimate yield of the plant. So how to counter? Basically, if you counter the stress condition in case of any plant, there are two mechanisms which is already existing in the plant by the nature itself. They are there. One is biochemical, one is enzymatic based method of protection. One is non-enzymatic based method of protection. These are the inbuilt mechanism in a plant that how they will counter the abiotic stress, so basically the formation of ROS formation. So whenever a plant come across a stress, this mechanism will activate it. The mechanism involved, one is the enzymatic based protection mechanism, and second is the non-enzymatic based protection mechanism. So but the scenario is this: if you look into the different crop, varieties, you will find the plant are varying with their stress mechanism. Stress coping mechanism are different. Although we are saying that they are the capacity of stress coping mechanism, or these are the two classification where you can put them that either this is enzymatic based or this is non-enzymatic based. But still there are differences in the plant species. It's not like that every plant species are following the same pattern of stress mechanism or stress coping mechanism. There are differences in the plant itself or species itself. And many times, if a stress coping mechanism is available in the mango, maybe that stress coping mechanism may be docile in guava plant or maybe overactive in guava plant. So that's why the breeding aspects come into the picture. That if you find most of the time, we are also aware that the stress coping mechanism are very well structured in case of wild type. But over the period of breeding applications, we come to know that we loosen those stress coping mechanism because we are giving more and more favorable conditions to the plant for the survival. So whenever you are giving more and more favorable condition to the plant for the survival, you are giving a plasticity to the plant. When you are giving a plasticity to the plant, means now the plant will perform lesser under those extreme conditions, which were performing better in case of a wild type relative to the particular plant. And just like in case of human being, if any stress comes, then there are hormonal changes will take place. Same with the plants also. If the plant is coming under stress, there are hormones which ultimate regulator of stress mechanism is hormone. And you must be aware that we most of the time, if you say that what is the stress hormone, so ABA is the one which we used to show that ABA is the one, or we used to call ABA is the stress hormone. So why abiotic stress matter in the fruit crop? The one so one thing is like the climate pressure. Fruits and horticulture crop are exposed to drought. We discussed earlier that like drought, heat, salinity, flooding, UV radiations, nutrient limitation, and metal stress. What it costs to the plant is stress can reduce photosynthetic pigments, membrane integrity, photosynthetic machinery, ultimately compromising the productivity of the plant. And why hormones? Because the phytohormones coordinate multiple signaling pathways, can improve stress adaptations while supporting the growth and development of a plant. Stress response depend on the stress type and intensity, environment, and developmental stages. It's not like the stress responses are fixed at every moment. So if you look into the field condition, most of the time we say that the drought stress is like this, the heavy metal stress is like this, or salinity stress is like this. This is not the scenario. Whenever a crop is into the field, it is very tough to understand under how many stress conditions the plant is right now. So the most of the central theme is not a single stress hormone. We want to look into a coordinated hormone signaling and the crosstalk, so that we can make a plant to overcome the multiple stress conditions at a single time. This is a diagrammatic representations how many different hormones are coordinating the plant activity. If you look into the jasmonic acid, it is involved in the seed germination. If you look into the ethylene, it is involved in the flowering, and many of us also understand ethylene also involved in the ripening also. Then melatonin, this is involved in the tuber formations. Abscisic acid, root development, as well as the overall stress coping mechanism is being governed by the abscisic acid. There are two different mechanisms in the stress coping mechanism, which is governed by the ABA. We used to call them ABA dependent pathway of stress coping or ABA independent pathway. These are the two different pathways which is working in a plant. And the second is the brassisteroids is another which is involved in the stomatal opening, salicylic acid, leaf movement, cytokinin, again in the root growth, auxin, stress tolerance, and the chlorophyll degradation like GA, and leaf senescence, strigolactones. Development outcome, what is basically the development outcome when you say the hormonal regulation influences many of these activities. So these are the development outcome of the hormones and their related activity. What is look into the stress related outcome? If you look into the stress related outcome, then hormone mediated regulation contribute to the stress tolerance mechanism. And then the key message, if you overall, if I want to give out of the hormones, is hormonal responses are integrated across development process rather than acting in isolation. Although I mentioned that this particular hormone is responsible for this particular activity, but this never be the scenario that a single hormone is working at a time. Multiple hormones are working at a time. They are coordinating multiple activity, so that at a particular time, all the hormones are working in a single direction, so that they make up the plant to cope up with the stress condition. Major phytohormones and associated regulator. Associated regulator means, earlier I mentioned that how what particular hormone majorly coordinating which particular plant phenotypic characters. Because when I'm saying the root, this is the phenotypic characters of a plant. Or when I say the hormone, so my ultimate knowledge to give from that particular slide is that one hormone, one particular phenotypic characters which is related to the plants, means like this particular phenotypic character is mostly coordinated by the particular hormone. But how? The questions come how. If I say the ABA is regulating the root growth, or ABA is regulating the stress condition, Then what is the biochemical mechanism out of it? So if you look into the ABA basically is involved in the water balance. One is the stomata and the stress genes regulation also. Then auxin involved in the root and shoot formation as well as the lateral root formation. Then brachysteroids, they are involved in the photosynthesis, membrane integrity, and antioxidant defense. What is the antioxidant defense system here? Earlier, I mentioned in my earlier slide that uh, the plants having two mechanism of stress tolerance. One is the enzymatic or enzymatic defense mechanism, another is the non-enzymatic. When you say the what is the non-enzymatic defense mechanism, that is the antioxidant defense mechanism, where the plant is involved in the production of antioxidant, because we say the ROS is the main cause of the oxidation, or ROS is the main cause of the stress condition. So these antioxidant system is where they are neutralizing the ROS formation, or they are defending the plant to reduce the ROS concentration in the particular situation, and that's how it is protecting the plants. Then melatonin, what is melatonin is doing the ROS scavenging. They are reducing or capturing the ROS which is formed during the stress condition. Then they are helping the photosynthesis. Basically, the photosystem one, which is very much responsible during the whole photosynthesis. If there is a stress condition, it lead to the down regulation of photosystem second by quenching. So melatonin is protecting the photosystem second, and then the nutrient uptake. Then gibberellic acid, which is involved in the growth, germination, and development. What is how the GA is involved in the germination? Because it's regulating the germination, the enzyme which is involved in the germination during the germination process. Ethylene is the signaling salt and temperature responses, and salicylic acid. This is photosynthesis and root architecture. And then there are other like jasmonic acid and many other hormones which are involved in, although they are not very much understood what are the different functions of these particular hormones, but they are, if we look into a close umbrella terminology, then these hormones are somewhere somehow involved in the growth, defense, osmotic adjustment, and the root architecture. So now I just want to discuss two of the major phytohormones which are closely working with the stress condition. One is the ABA. What is ABA is doing? Under water scarcity, especially under drought condition, ABA synthesized mainly in the roots and transported through xylem and trigger guard cell signaling. Guard cell signaling that promote stomatal closure and reduce water loss. This is one of the key mechanism where the plant used to protect or save the water during the, if there is any stress condition. Then what is the GA? GA is involved in the seed germination, fruit development, internodal elongation, and flowering. Stress tolerance can be altered by GA metabolism. One is the GA DELA signaling. DELA is the transcription factor here. And whatever the function or whatever the information which is governed by the GA, it is governed through the DELA. DELA, when you are seeing the transcription factor, a transcription factor is the one which is going to bind to a particular gene and leading to the initiation or expression of that particular gene and leading to the formation of protein, and downside all the activity will govern by the protein. So wherever the DELA is there, wherever the DELA, so GA will go signal the DELA, and DELA will lead out most of the particular gene which is leading to the stress protection under the governance of DELA, which is a transcription factor. Then ABA defense network. ABA also mobilize proline, antioxidant, ROS scavenging enzymes, and cuticle waxes, fatty acid, and heat shock protein. Why this proline and sugar? Whenever there is the stress condition, the plant or a drought condition. So whenever any drought condition arises or high heat condition is there, the cell used to lose its turgidity. Whenever the cell lose its turgidity, it means the cell is no more functional, or it is lesser functional compared to the earlier one. So how the plant cope this particular that because the under the stress condition, the plant want to cope up with the stress condition, or plant want to survive that particular cell. So the cope up mechanism of the plant under this particular drought or specifically the heat the plant used to produce more and more osmolytes. Osmolytes means they are helping the plant or helping the plant cell to retain more and more water, and that is the osmolytes. Means like they are maintaining the osmotic pressure inside the cell. So one of them is the proline. Many more sugars are also there, which is helping the plant to maintain its turgidity. Fatty acid. What is the fatty acid? Whenever the heat stress is there, the membrane, we also aware that the cell membrane is not the cell wall. Cell wall is basically a synthesis of cellulose, but when you look into the cell membrane, cell membrane is made up of the fatty acid. So, and there are saturated fatty acid, there are unsaturated fatty acid. So if the heat stress is there and your unsaturated fatty acid is there, then it will loosen up your cell membrane. If the cell membrane is loosened up, you are losing the ionic pressure basically, or it will lead to the cell membrane rupture, not a clear-cut rupture, but it create a pores out there. And if there is more and more pores on the cell membrane, the cell will lose its integrity. And when the cell loses integrity, it will reduce the whatever the mechanism the cell is performing out there. So during the heat stress condition, what the mechanism which is helping the plant to cope up or to reduce the cell membrane rupturing or to reduce the loss at the cell membrane, the most of the unsaturated fatty acid will convert to the saturated fatty acid. The reason the saturated fatty acid are more, or because the unsaturated fatty acid are prone to heat stress or drought, but unsaturated or saturated fatty acid, they are comparatively remain stable under the high heat condition because they have a close bonding pattern compared to the unsaturated fatty acid, right? So, and the heat shock protein, this is another mechanism where the plant, where heat shock protein is the one HSP basically we used to call them. So whenever the stress condition is there, most of the protein will start going to get degraded. So the cope-up mechanism to avoid the degradation of the particular protein which is helping the plant to survive, here comes the heat shock protein. Whenever there is a strong buildup of the heat shock protein in a cell, so it will reduce the degradation of the beneficial protein or reduce the degradation of the enzymatic control of the system. One example for the stress perspective, the earlier research highlighted that reduced endogenous gibberellic acid through GAOHC expression in rice can improve seed yield and the drought tolerance. Although this particular example is related to the cereal crop, but these kinds of study also applicable to the horticulture crops also. Another, like if you look into the other different phytohormones like auxin, central regulator of root and shoot formation, and then stress can disturb auxin homeostasis, transport and distribution, including pin-mediated polar transport. Then ethylene, and then brachysteroids, again, the function is listed here. So, but example, I want to hear example from the horticulture crop is the brachysteroids improve drought-associated photosynthesis in pepper. Brachysteroid treatment improves salt stress, strawberry growth also, and the cellular function. What is the mechanistic theme? If you look into the how this particular is performed, these hormones connect developmental regulations with stress accumulation, especially to root architecture, gas exchange, and the antioxidant system. I just want to give a brief example where I also encounter, especially in my own research, that most of the time we say that if there are stress condition or if there is water scarcity, so the most of the physiologists or most of the biochemistry admire that the plant, if you look from a biochemistry perspective, then the biochemists definitely admire that I need more and more defense mechanism into the plant. In that sense, I want to upgrade more and more defense mechanism pathway And defense mechanism pathway, either I increase the RO scavenging capacity of the plant, or I increase the antioxidant production in the plant. So this is the biochemistry perspective to achieve the stress tolerance. If you look from the perspective from the physiology, then physiologist, so how he will look that how I can increase the stress tolerance in a plant, especially into a drought or into a heat stress, that or basically the heat and water scarcity, that I want my plant to have a stronger root architecture. I want my plant to have a deeper root architecture, or I want my plant to have a cuticle layer over the leaf, so that I can reduce the transpiration from the upper part of the plant. And secondly, if I develop more and more enormous structure of the root, it will help the plant to capture the water from the deeper layer from the soil. So where I also capture that, initially I was working with the melatonin, and I came across then when you are, especially in the rice, not any horticulture crop, but when you apply melatonin in a particular plant during the seed or maybe during the developmental stages, we came across that it will enhance the root architecture. And that is the favorable condition. You require definitely a high enormous root architecture or root growth to capture the water from the deeper layer. This is from my own practical experience, although many studies also supported the same statements. Then salicylic acid again is involved in the photosynthetic root architecture, and the melatonin again ROS scavenging and the promote antioxidant defense system. Stress example, reported benefits include improved performance under salt, drought, heat, and ozone. And the horticulture evidence, which overall salicylic acid and melatonin, they came across that the benefit in the strawberry, tomato, watermelon, peach, and cucumber, pepper, grape, crabapple, and fenugreek, including improved photosynthesis and nutrient uptake. Nutrient uptake is directly related if you have a better root architecture out there. So this is one. Then another, these like cytokinin regulate morphogenesis, jasmonids, polyamines, and stygolactones. These are basically involved in the one and key phenotypic mechanism of the plant. What is root canopy communication? Root canopy communication refers to the where a root sense declining soil moisture, and a root has a stress tolerance. When I'm saying that the ABA dependent mechanism or ABA independent mechanism or antioxidant defense mechanism or enzymatic defense mechanism, then the first questions come, how the plant is basically sensing it, from where the first signal coming to the plant, that now because the plant can't keep these protection mechanism active throughout their life cycle. So this is not the way of protection. The way of protection is whenever a plant come across any stress condition, then there must be some signal which reach to the plant, reach to the genomic DNA, which lead to the production of that particular protein, which helping the plant, or that particular antioxidant, which helping the plant to cope up the stress mechanism. So the first question came, how the plant is sensing this stress condition. So how we sense, if there is any hot surfaces, we are sensing from the our own skin. So once we sense it from the skin, only then our brain signal, okay, get aside from that particular heat surface. So this is we sense it from our own skin. So how the plant senses and how they activate now, okay, you need to increase more and more defense mechanism right now. So the root sense declining moisture and releases ABA, and which signal is to matter to close and reduce transpiration. So once the AB root are sensing first that, okay, this is there is a declining moisture condition, they giving a signal, and from there the signal reaches to the ABA. ABA then further proceed to the signal and give, okay, now you close the stomata there. You close the reduced transpiration because we have a lesser water presence at our root channel. Then what is canopy to root signaling? the canopy to root signaling means the interaction is bidirectional. It is not like that only the root is sensing the signal and giving to the major surfaces. It is the plant leaf, plant canopy also sensing the system and giving the signal to the root also. The interaction is bidirectional. Canopy derived jasmonic acid can inhibit primary root growth by promoting lateral growth formation after injury. Primary root means something which is going deeper and deeper. And when lateral root means like you need more fibrous outside the primary root system. So in case of this is the from the canopy, the signal comes to the root. Now you need to produce more and more lateral root system so that identify the water resources at the surrounding. It's not like only at the one surface or only at the layering down. The root to shoot signaling hormones produced in roots are transported to the canopy and influence growth, development, and physiological responses. Same apply to the canopy. The hormones produced at the canopy move to the root and giving signal to the root. You perform like this. You open the water channel. You open the this, or you capture water from different sources. And why it matters? Because stress tolerance therefore depend on the coordinated signaling. It is not like only the root is giving you the signal, the canopy is not performing its own function. So this is highly coordinated function, highly coordinated responses the plant is taking up basically. So this is one diagrammatic representation how whenever any stress conditions comes to the plant, for example, like this heat stress, cold, salt, drought, or heavy metal, then abiotic stress, then phytohormonal spray enhance plant growth. So this is the different phytohormones researchers used to study that if I apply this particular, I will come back to why the people used to propose the phytohormones spray and all those things. But this is the under the abiotic stress, this is the coordinated, like ABA dependent pathway, ABA independent pathway. Then jasmonic acid, this is they again coordinating two different pathways. Then auxin is also regulating the pathway. Cytokinin, then GA working through the DELA. These are the transcription factor. Then ethylene transcription or ethylene responsive. Then salicylic acid and the brassiosteroids 1, brassiosteroids. So these are the transcription factor where these particular hormone giving the plant a signal. Okay, now you need to perform this. So we earlier studied that the people used to spray the phytohormones on the plant. People used to give a drenching solution to the plant of the phytohormones. So why they tried this particular mechanism of phyto? Because we understood that the phytohormones are capable enough to give a what you call a resistance to the abiotic stress condition. Not only abiotic, it is also working against the biotic conditions also. So many times this is also being observed that the sufficiency of one particular hormone is not there. When you say the sufficiency means like I need the 10 unit of ABA, but the plant is not capable enough to produce the 10 unit of ABA at a particular moment or under the stress condition. So that is one. Another is like there are priming mechanisms also. Priming mechanism where you are making your plant well before adaptable to well before the situations come. How this means like you giving the plant already my example for this, what is the priming basically, what is the utilization. For example, many times we used to have polio drop in our childhood. It's not like we are affected by the polio at that particular moment, only then we are taking the polio vaccine. It is not. We are giving up a body so that if in future, if particular polio virus is going to affect us, we are already have our defense mechanism ready to fight against the polio. Rather than being affected and then taking the dose, then there are chances that we maybe get cured or we may not be get cured. It depends how our body responds at that particular moment. So this is similar to the plant also. Before the plant encounter any disease, plant encounter any abiotic stress, we want our plant to have a resistance mechanism ready to the future stress condition. So how these different mechanism basically are, how we want to make our plant. Now the question comes, how we can make our plants more tolerance to the stress mechanism. Resistance is a different thing. Tolerance is a different thing. So this is generic abiotic stress signaling cascade. So these are the abiotic stress. Then sensors are working there. Receptors receive the signals they are giving, and then there is an increase in the calcium channel, because this is the utmost secondary messenger which is involved in most of the pathway. Then ROS production and the phytohormone, and then they lead to the activation of signal transduction pathway. Signal transduction pathway means like this is one-to-one message is going. Okay, I receive the signal, then I need to pass to the second, which is adjacent to me. Once I will pass this message to this one, and this is moved to the second, and then it lead to the formation, activation of transcription factor. These are the different transcription factor, and then it lead to the go to the transcription factor, will move to the target DNA and lead to the formation of mRNA. It is basically the transcription. Once the transcription of a targeted DNA is occurred, it lead to the formation of that particular gene, and then now it is a stress responsive gene, and we are going to get a stress tolerance. How? Prevention of oxidative damage, and then osmotic adjustment, and the secondary metabolism. What's the evidence suggests? Antioxidant defense. Many hormones. Sorry.
Sorry, continue, sir.
And then antioxidant defense, like many hormones treatment increase antioxidant enzyme activity and reduce ROS MGA. Then photosynthetic protection, hormonal preserve pigments, gas exchange, osmotic and water balance. As we mentioned that in the many times, osmotic adjustment is very much necessary, which is being like these are the hormones which is involved providing the osmotic balance, like ABA, melatonin, polyamine, and root architecture and the nutrient uptake. And then growth defense coordination, which is a hormonal crosstalk. One hormone is taking one function, second hormone is taking second function, and they are clubbing at one particular point, and overall the purpose of each and every hormonal talk is to give a defense protection to the plant. What could be the future direction when we know this hormone is involved, this hormone is involved in this function? There are many selected studies. Selected study means most of the research, either they are taking the help of one hormone or they are taking the help of two hormones. But a coordinated research, how the 2 and 3 and 4 hormones are coming together, or 2 and 3 transcription factor coming together and giving a plant tolerance mechanism. So that is still lacking. Many times we also lack means, like, although we want to give the hormonal treatment to the plant, but how? At what dose? Because dose is also very much necessary. We must identify the amount of phytohormone external treatment if you want to give. So we then a third is like many times, although when you look into my slides, I mentioned that there are overlapping over the functions of different phytohormones. Root architecture modification is being governed by the ABA also. It is governed by the salicylic acid also. It is governed by the melatonin also. It is governed by the cell and polystyrolactone or brasistra. There are many overlapping mechanisms also working in the plant. But for us to make our plant to be tolerant, we need to understand why this overlapping, from where this overlapping is coming into the picture, and which is the most efficient one. If I want to increase the root architecture, then if I'm not very well understood, then I will start targeting every hormone. But that is not the way of giving a tolerance to the plant. Then at that particular moment, I just want to know which particular hormone is giving the best result under the abiotic stress or under the biotic stress, or that I will know only from if I know the mechanistic understanding. Mechanistic understanding is I must very well aware with that this particular hormone will function on this particular transcription factor, and from this transcription factor is going to lead this particular genes, and these particular gene going to produce these many proteins, and these many proteins are going to govern the stress mechanism through these mechanism. So understanding the mechanistic through the hormone or through the biochemical pathway is very much necessary. So like clarify the molecular mechanism by which hormones elevate this abiotic stress. This is still lacking. Then resolve interaction with other signaling molecule and transcription factor. Then characterize hormone metabolizing enzyme, receptor, regulatory components. Then optimize hormone level, timing, tissue and organ targeting, and developmental stage. Then use knowledge of hormone crosstalk to engineer or select crop with enhanced abiotic stress tolerance, and translate mechanistic understanding into sustainable agriculture production system. So these are the different still where we are lacking, not lacking that we require more and more study to answer these questions. Only then we can identify or come up with a crop varieties which are future ready, which are way well before the stress conditions come. They are already have their mechanism to counter this stress condition. Okay. So take home message: abiotic stress is a major constraint to the food and horticulture crop productivity. Phytohormones are the central regulator connectivity to the environmental receptor with physiological and molecular adaptations. And melatonin, these are the different hormones which occur through distinct and overlapping mechanism. Then hormonal crosstalk, not isolated hormone action, but is the fundamental to coordinate the water balance and reduce homeostasis. And then future progress depend on the mechanistic precision, stage tissue specific applications, and integration with the crop improvement. So these are the selected study. If anyone want to a deep study for this one. Thank you.
Okay, sir.
Ji, Nadeem.
Okay.
Can I?
Thank you. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay. Now the session is open for question answers. If anyone has questions, so please write your question in the chat box or turn on your mic.
Sir, good morning, sir.
Ji, good morning.
Sir, is my doubt that you mentioned about the stress tolerance in relation to the oxygen, sir. Sir, is the because boron is in direct relation to the oxygens, is any effect to tolerance of boron to the stress, sir?
मैम आपकी वॉइस थोड़ा सा सॉरी
सर अभी सुना दे रहे
थोड़ा
हैं
सा मतलब स्लो बोलिए क्योंकि यहाँ पे इको है एक आपकी वॉइस का तो क्लियर नहीं है.
Okay, sir. Sir, I have a doubt that you mentioned about the oxygen effect on stress tolerance.
जी.
So actually, we normally study about the boron is boron is in relation to the oxygens. So if we boron application, is there any stress tolerance to the plant, sir?
Boron, it's like your question is that boron is giving stress tolerance to the plant?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So they see it's depend for which stress you want to counter. If I say that you want to counter any chilling stress or you want to counter any salt stress, so I can't suggest that the boron is the only solution.
Okay.
It depends which stress you want to counter. So if I want to counter the drought stress, my first thing is that I give plant more and more water, right? So I can cut short the stress condition there. And even if there is no water availability at my side, then I definitely want to increase the root architecture of the plant so that it can capture more water from the deeper layer. Or I want to reduce the transpiration for the plant so that it can retain whatever the amount is remaining with the plant, so it can retain water out there. So first of all, to counter or to make up a plant to any abiotic stresses, we must know which stress we want to
Okay, sir.
I think
Actually,
I answer your question, right?
yes, sir. Actually, I'm talking about the drought tolerance regarding that issue only, sir. So
Um,
first we have to concentrate about the what precautions we can take. Then only we have to like other chemistry related aspects.
the
Yes, sir.
first we need to identify what is going inside the plant.
Okay, sir.
First, and then we look into how we can counter. If something is positive, we definitely don't want to counter it. Like
Okay.
many times, if the stress condition is there, another mechanism to cope up the plant, give a more and more osmolyte protection to the plant. If the more and more osmolyte protection is there into the plant, it can the cell retain its activity, and once the cell retain its activity, definitely give the plant a kind of like tolerance mechanism, right?
Okay, sir. Actually, I'm asking this question because this year is El Nino, na, sir. So
And
everyone is talking about the drought tolerance. That's why I ask this question.
दोपहर में अपन बात करते हैं। आप लंच के बाद है ना एक और
Okay, sir. Sir, what is the effect of proline? Can I ask regarding the enzymatic stress tolerance, sir?
sure ma'am, sure.
Sir, we actually read in one book that proline is effect on it gives the tolerance to stress in for the regarding coconut plants, sir, in drought rainfed conditions.
Yes.
So is it like then also we first we counter the mechanism regarding the drought tolerance, then only the enzyme will affect, or otherwise it directly have the mechanism in situ that it can tolerate the stress, sir?
No, in case of proline basically is serving as a osmolyte. So
Okay.
if you are giving an external treatment through proline, although the plant having their own defense mechanism where they want to increase more and more osmolyte production. So proline is one of them, osmolyte, other than the
Okay.
sugar. So if
Okay.
you are giving the plant the external proline from the outside, so you are basically giving the osmolyte protection to the plant, right,
Okay.
from the outside.
Yes,
This is
sir.
a well understood pathway that if there is an increase in the osmolyte, the plant will cope up with the stress condition. That's
Okay.
the mechanism with
Okay.
proline.
Sir, it can give to the research purpose for the students. At what can extent we can give, sir?
So
Like this stress
if
crisis.
you have see in case of plant, first of all, like you mentioned, the problem with the horticulture crop and identifying a mechanism to counter the tolerance mechanism. If like you explained that the coconut,
Yes,
so
sir. Yes, sir.
so you definitely don't want to disturb a well-grown plant. You don't want to bring the artificial stress condition to the plant,
Yes,
right?
sir. Yes, sir. Yes,
You
sir. Yes,
don't want to kill an established plant.
yes,
So
sir.
that's the problem. Many times we face a situation how to because if you want to come up with any mechanism for the horticulture crop, then you need at least 10 replication out there. So
Yes, sir.
10 replication of the control, 10 replication of the stress condition.
Yes,
So
sir. Yes, sir.
for 10 plant which is under control, that's good enough. But the 10 plant under stress condition, you are killing the plant by your own.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes, sir.
So if you have that much facility that you can have 10 control plant, 10 plant you can put under stress condition and identify that which amount of proline at which stage to the plant, if we give from the external source, how
Okay.
this will help the plant to cope up. But before that, I definitely raise a question. Are you agree with killing the 10 plants by your own?
Yes, sir. Yes, you're right, sir. That's why I think most of the researchers they will do research on up to seed extent only, sir. So
That's why it's like
yes,
nobody want to kill the established
yes,
garden
sir. Yes,
out
sir.
there.
You're right, sir. Absolutely.
That's why in case of horticulture crop, the people are more interested to go with the breeding way.
Yes,
Like
sir. Yes, sir.
they hardly very few hormonal studies are there, and
You're
even
right.
if case of hormonal study, they are only established in the vegetable crop because they are seasonal. One
Yes, sir.
season, two season, three season. But the horticulture or the plantation crop, there is no season. Once you plant it, you plant it. Right?
Okay, sir. So
That's the
then we have the option to choose wherever the saline areas or the problematic soils are there. Then only they will choose that type of research work to cope up.
there you can in case of horticulture crop you can in that case you can try that if you want to protect the plant from the salinity stage you
Yes,
can
sir.
have a one salinity control at where the salinity is not there and
Sir.
already the plant is which is under salinity but another thing is like if the plant is surviving the salinity it means it's already had that mechanism only then it is surviving out there.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Yes.
So
Yes,
to bring that salinity mechanism into a plant which is at your stage where there is no salinity and the plant is surviving, then you need to go for the transcriptomic and metabolomic study, identify what is the differences in between these salinity tolerant plant and my control plant. So
yes, sir.
once you identify this is the pathway or this is the particular secondary metabolite which is producing extra amount in case of a salinity plant. So then identify a gene and then go for the breeding way. Okay, now I want this particular gene into my own plant.
Yes, sir.
This is the
Okay.
mechanism.
Thank you so much, sir.
Uh,
Nice presentation, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Nadeem, you are on mute.
Okay, sir, thank you so much. Sir, another question is in the chat box, sir. Is there any specific concentration to induce stress in fruit crops to induce stress to enable flowering?
Can I see the chat box? Yeah. Is there any specific concentration to induce stress in fruit crop to induce stress to enabling flowering? See, uh, in my explanation for this particular question is like, just a second, just a second. So see, if we are giving, this is the tendency of any plant, if you're giving everything very favorable, right? Water, nutrient, everything, the plant will move more and more to the vegetative growth. See, so you won't see the reproductive stage coming very early. So the stress is the one where this is the evolutionary mechanism which is inbuilt into the plant. Although there is two different mechanism of flowering, one is like if the particular light days are sufficient, the plant definitely will undergo the flowering stage. But even in that case, there are studies used to say that if a plant comes under stress, it will lead to the flowering. So right now, the induced stress, you can give any type. You reduce the water. The water is the one thing where you're bringing the plant to the stress condition, and it will go for the flowering. So this is depend which crop you are handling again. So see, in case of horticulture or even in case of cereal crop, you need to first understand your crop very much. Only then we can take up these questions. Stress induced, but the water is the one you can bring the stress condition to the or drought stress to the plant, and it will lead to the flowering induction there, definitely. Another question, she mentioned that in oil palm after 4 years, many female flower coming instead of male. Is there any reason related to the hormonal stress or any kind of stress? See, although I'm not aware with the what is the how the oil palm is basically performing, but there are studies, especially in the cucurbitaceae, that if the temperature fluctuations there, then more and more female flower will there, or more and more male flower is there. So regarding the oil palm, this definitely this is somewhere and somehow the hormonal is coming into the picture. But how this particular hormonal signature is coming into the picture, that you need to invest, you need to look it by yourself. But I can give you example that, like especially in the cucurbitaceae, this we observe that, not we, many of you observe that if there is temperature fluctuation, then flower differences are there, either more male flower or more female flower. This is happen in a case of horticulture crop.
Okay, sir. Any other questions from participants?
I think no more question, Nandini.
Okay. Okay, sir. Thank you so much. I think, sir, no more questions. So we should conclude the session. Thank you. The organizers are thankful to you, sir. On behalf of organizers and everyone, I sincerely thank you, Dr. Chirag Maheshwari sir, for delivering sir insightful and informative lecture on stress biochemistry in horticultural crops. Sir, your valuable insights and expertise have greatly enriched our understandings of this important topic. So thank you, sir, for your valuable time and for sharing your knowledge with us. Thank you, sir, and I am also thank you all the participants who joined it here and interact here. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Nadeem. Thank you very much. And thank you all the participants for the